today's presentation will be Resume and Beyond, How to Make a Great Impression. So on our agenda today, we will go over resume tips, define your professional DNA, do your homework, make a connection, in our campus recruiting overview. And then also, if you do have a resume at the end that you'd like me to look over, I'm more than happy to do that for you. So CGI is the 5th largest IT consulting firm in the world. We are home to over 90,000 members in 400 locations in 40 countries. And in the United States, we function in 2 business units, and that's the commercial state government side, which we call CSG, and then the federal side, which we call CGI Federal. On both ends of the house, we offer end-to-end IT services and solutions. The biggest difference are just the clients that we serve. And I fall under the federal branch. And within those, we focus on 10 industries, but that's not what this presentation is about, so I won't go into super depth about that. So, yes, first you're going to want to choose the right format. So your resume should be easy to read on a computer or paper, and relevant information should be upfront. So in this example, you're seeing computer and paper because sometimes people will make their resumes like dark blue with white font or dark blue with gray font, and when you print it off, you won't be able to see that. So that's why we really encourage you to just stick to like a plain white, cream paper and black font. You'll want to include your professional contact information right at the top. Make sure you include your phone number and your email so employers can contact you. It's up to your personal discretion if you want to include your home address as well as your school address, or if you want to include your LinkedIn as well. All that information is very helpful, but it's not required. Right underneath that, you're going to want to list your education. So include what school you go to, what your major is, and your graduation date up front. You want to include your school because sometimes employers at career fairs will see that you're graduating from Virginia Tech, and they'll take it back to their supervisor who wasn't there, who went to Virginia Tech, and they're like, wow, I would love to have this person interview with me because we have that commonality. So always remember to include that on your resume. You'll want to put your major on there so you can figure out what job you're interested in or might be a good fit for, and your graduation date so we can figure out if you would be a good fit for a full-time opportunity or an internship. You'll also want to include relevant coursework. So even if you don't have relevant professional experience, list out any relevant classes that you've taken or projects that you have participated in. You'll also want to showcase leadership skills. So include any leadership positions you have held on campus, and this can help you stand out. So I'm not telling you that you have to be the president or vice president of every club that you are a part of, but you could be the event chair or like the recruiting coordinator, something to show that you're involved and you can lead others. And you'll also want to share your passion. So convey your interests. We want to see how you are as a person. And when you put things on your resume that you are passionate about, and somebody at a career fair points to us and says, tell me about this on your resume, your eyes will literally light up and you will become more relaxed because you're speaking out something that like you care about and you know about and you're interested in. When you have a ton of stuff on your resume that you aren't necessarily proud of or not that interested in, when you talk about it, it will show, oh, like they must not have really liked that job. So you really will want to include things that you can light up a room with. All right, so on our next slide, oh, did we go back? Okay, like we said, make sure your resume is clear, concise, reader-friendly, and error-free. So sometimes when you're typing a document and you know what it's supposed to say, you might put a few errors in it because you're reading it like it's correct. So before you press print, make sure you have one of your classmates, your friend, your mom, anyone review it and make sure that all grammatical errors or just things that could be wrong in it are alleviated. You're going to want to tailor your resume to highlight relevant courses and experience for the position you're applying for. So let's say you're like in a strange juxtaposition where you're kind of interested in being a business analyst, but you also want to be a technical analyst. If you know that you're going to visit specific tables at the career fair, you might want to print out 2 different resumes that you know you'll give to like each type of employer. I would more so recommend this to somebody who is applying to full-time jobs. I don't know necessarily that that would be necessary for an internship, but you can if you'd like to. And then we kind of went over that already too. Have your resume reviewed by your career center, peer or employer-led resume session, etc. So these are examples of 2 resumes that I really like to get. I don't think that you guys here in the room can see that very well, but the main points of it are, it's white. The font is clear. I'm not seeing like any crazy curls or anything. It's very concise. It's in black. The objective, it's up there. I'll let you guys know that an objective is not required. Like if you have a lot of relevant experience or coursework, or you've had a lot of leadership opportunities and you're trying to figure out what you can take out of the resume, that could be something. If you'd like to leave it in there, I would really recommend just leaving it out of sentence so it's not taking up too much space. Like I said prior, you'll want to have your university at the top. If you are including any skills, I would recommend putting it at the top as well, so that that can kind of lead or guide a conversation. When I go to fairs and I'll have technical members with me and they might point out, oh, I see you know how to use MATLAB, and then ask specific questions about that. And that can kind of ease in your conversation if you're really nervous and you're like, okay. So if you want to have specific conversations about your resume, make sure that they're towards the top. Okay. So next we're going to do a little practice. So this is not a real resume, but looking at this resume, what are a few things right off the bat that you might see wrong with this resume? Anybody can just speak out loud.
The hyperlink is like so blue.
Very
So
good.
that's-
Yes. It's green, yes. Because think, if you forget, you're like, I'm going to the career fair, I forgot to print off my 25 copies, and you print this off in black and white, you are not going to be able to see anything. So that's a big thing.
I guess like highlighted text.
Yeah, it looks crazy. So not good. Any other things?
It's 2 pages and the second page basically has nothing.
There we go. Very good. People online might notice a few things that you guys don't, because they're seeing a little closer. There's a few typos in there too. So some people are going to be more strict about typos. Like some people are going to be like, I see that you get your point across. Other people, and honestly, to be frank, most people are going to say, wow, this person is trying to get a job and they have no attention to detail. Like I'm really not interested in them. So that's exactly why you're going to want to have somebody else review it so that you can make sure there aren't any typos there at all. But to end on a positive note, they did include a lot of awesome things within this resume. Okay, so next we're going to move on to our next slide. I think somebody's trying to be admitted. Can I admit them? Or...
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So next, what is your professional DNA? Your professional DNA is what you're known for and how people experience you. It's about bringing who you are or what you want to do and how you want to do it. So this is something that can be defined with your body language, sometimes more so than what you even say. So let's say I walk into the classroom and I'm wearing a crazy outfit and I have crazy earrings on. And like in your mind, you might think, wow, this girl's crazy. Or you might think she's fun. It's defining who I am as a person. A lot of the times I'll wear something that are a little bit different because students might have a hard time like asking a professional question, but they might be able to lead the conversation with, oh, I like your earrings, and then ask about something else that they are nervous to ask about. In a normal person context, when you go to a career fair, anywhere that you're trying to impress someone, you're going to want to look your best. So making sure that your hair is brushed, that your face is washed, you're going to want to look in the mirror and make sure you don't have any food in your teeth. Professionals understand too that like if you're a college student, you don't have $1 million to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. But I do know that there is a career closet because I saw it yesterday. So if you are needing a new outfit for the career fair, definitely check out and talk to them afterwards or send them an email. But also too, like there are a million thrift stores in the area, and a lot of them have really awesome outfits too that you can pick something out for a low cost. So define who you are when you talk to people, treat them with kindness, be respectful, make them feel special, and they'll make you feel special. If people aren't nice to you, just move on. They might be having a bad day. Don't let it impact yours. So after that, we're going to go over just a little quick snippet of an elevator pitch because I'm sure there's been presentations this week about that. So just going to go over it just as a refresher. So with that, you would start out with an introduction, which would include your name, your major, your graduation date, and your goal. So you're looking for an internship or a full-time position. Next, your selling points, so top skills, interests, leadership accomplishments, and class projects. And closing out an objective and a closing question. So when you give your elevator pitch to someone, I've experienced a lot of elevator pitches at career fairs. Sometimes people are so nervous that they just come up to the table and they go, blah, 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 and then you're like, wow, that was great. Can you say that to me again? So make sure when you are giving your elevator pitch that you introduce yourself, give the person the chance to introduce themselves, and you can have an easy conversation. And most of the questions they're going to ask you to start out have to do with your elevator pitch. So if you practice it before you go, you'll feel more confident in giving it. Also, this is going to be a weird tip, but make sure to blink when you give it. Sometimes people are like, I want to show that I'm engaged, and their eyes will be like this big the whole time. So blink, you can like, look down, look up, but make sure that you are coming up to them naturally. Next, you're going to want to do your research. So you're going to research employers and develop your goals. So research the employers that are attending events at your school. So as you guys see right now, I'm Chelsea Webb from CGI, and we're here at an event, and y'all are here. So a pat on the back, you already know how to do your research because you showed up. But prior to going to the career fair, you'll want to figure out who the employers are that you want to speak to, so that when you talk to them, your conversations will be a little bit easier, instead of saying like, oh, who are you guys? Like, what do you do? And it might take up a lot of time. And for those of you guys who have been to a career fair, you know this, but for those of you guys who have not, they're very loud. You'll have to stand in long lines. It's hot. People get overwhelmed. Some people will get really emotional because they want to show their best self. So when you're talking to an employer, you probably really don't want to be there more than 5 minutes, because trying to keep things moving as quick as possible. So create a top 10 list of employers you'd like to speak to. But like I said prior, you'll want to examine the positions that the organization is hiring for. I really would highly advise you not to go up to a recruiter and say, what do you think I should apply for? How about you look at their website first and look at a few opportunities that could be a good fit for you. You could go ahead and apply and say, I applied for these 2 roles. Out of these 2, now that you have my resume and I'm in front of you, like, what do you think I seem like the best fit for? Don't ask them to like do all of the research in the world and then bring it back to you. Kind of have like meet them in a middle ground. Next, understanding your goals for speaking to the employer. So are you looking for a full-time role or an internship? Do you want to develop relationships with employers? So I've been doing fall recruiting with CGI for 3 years now. So there's some students that I met their freshman year and they were just trying to get their feet wet. So we really weren't like, we know most companies don't hire freshmen as interns, a lot don't hire sophomores as interns. But once their junior year rolls around and they've came and talked to me multiple times, I know what their skill sets are, I know how they've grown over the years, I'll remember those people. So don't be afraid if you are a freshman to go to a career fair, because it really will help you hone in on your skills and you will make great connections. You also want to identify your skill sets and opportunities that match them and make sure that they are specific. And this just makes it helpful to know that you would be a good fit within that organization.
We have a quick question from the chat.
Yeah.
They ask if we're a freshman, should we high school GPA?
You can if you want. I guess since you don't have a GPA yet, you can show like I'm very intelligent and very intuitive, but it's also not required now in general for like people who are in college, just because of different DE and I standards. We try to have an equitable experience, and some people have had extraneous situations, like they're working a full-time job and going to school, they're raising their brothers and sisters, etc. So that's something that like at CGI, we're not as stringent about that we have been in the past. So it's kind of up to your personal preference, because there could be some companies that really want that on there, but for my company, it's not required.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Well, we have another question in the chat. If you are a freshman, should we include high school activities, sports, extracurriculars? Don't know a lot.
I would say yes for this first semester, then second semester, I would take it off. Then you've had the chance to get involved. You've seen the flyers around campus. There's come to our club. Email us if you want to join. So definitely, if you are a freshman, don't be afraid to show up to a club. I know it can be overwhelming when you go somewhere and everybody there knows someone and you don't. Just walk up and talk to someone. If they seem weird, like talk to somebody else. The only way that you're going to make friends is if you put yourself out there. Like when I came to college, just 12 years ago now, I would literally go to events with my sorority and I would like stand in the corner and I didn't want to talk to anyone because I was literally afraid of getting made fun of. And then I like reached the point where I was like, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere in life if I'm afraid of what other people think of me. So go to clubs, feel it out, make friends. If you feel overwhelmed because you've joined too many clubs, you can decrease your load. You know, people need to take care of their mental health too. Now I got a little off topic, but is that, are there any more? No? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I went to a technical school, so I studied electrical for 4 years in school. Should that go on my resume even though?
I can see why that would hurt any. It would just show that you're multifaceted. And then that would lead to additional conversations too. So yeah. All right, so this is a slide that I would really encourage everyone to take a picture of. So this slide is about questions that you should ask when you're at the career fair. So sometimes I get nervous. I don't know what I'm going to say to someone. So here is your opportunity to do so. So like I said prior, it is ideal to research organizations first and then ask tailored questions. This will make you stand out from other students who have not put the time in to personalize each conversation. Like, for example, someone will come up to the table and be like, CGI, what's this all about? Okay. Well, I'm at the career fair. So yeah, try to know a little bit about the organization. Personalized questions show that you're genuinely interested in the company, that you have an understanding of the field. And be sure to review the handouts that you receive upon arriving at the event to help guide your conversation. Sometimes you will get the flyers before the person gets to you, so you can read it a little bit if you don't know about the company and be able to kind of be like, I do know a little bit. So definitely take time to review them. And next, make a connection. So first, through verbal communication, you're going to make eye contact if you can. If you're unable to make eye contact, definitely make sure that your body language is showing that you're interested. So that would be like your shoulders are facing toward them. You're nodding your head yes, you're agreeing with something. You are overall engaged. So you'll want to introduce yourself and give an elevator pitch. Be sure to pause so that the exchange is more of a discussion or conversation. Engage in the conversation by responding to their questions concisely and then asking your prepared questions. Offer your resume when it feels appropriate. And as a wrap to the conversation, thank the employer for the time and ask for the next steps. So even if you go to an employer and you learn more about the organization, you're like, hey, I'm not really interested in them, I don't think this is a good fit for me, still say, thank you for your time, hope you have a great day. And then you'll go to your next table. I always would recommend anyone that you engage with there to tell them thank you for their time because they will think very highly of you. Yes, sir.
If you get offered a flyer but you're not interested,
Yes. I'm not gonna lie, it is literally really awkward when you give somebody and they're like, no, I don't want that. I mean, like you'll just put it in your bag with the other stuff and then like you can throw it away at home, but it's in general, it's really awkward. Yes. Yes. So some people will have like their parents bought them like a leather bound portfolio when they graduate high school and they'll have it and it's shiny and beautiful, which is fantastic. Nobody's expecting you to go out and buy one of those. You could just get like a little folder from the bookstore. That's fine. I would really recommend having some sort of folder though, so that it's not getting like, you print off all these pieces of paper and you put it in your backpack and then like you move and they get all crumbled. So just put it in like some kind of folder. Yes, ma'am. I would say 25. I know this sounds like a lot. However, we already said, you know, you're going to talk to 10 tables. Some tables you go to, you're going to talk to more than one person and they're each going to ask for a resume. And then you might just bump in. I don't know. I'm just saying it's best to be over prepared than under prepared. And if you do have 5 or so resumes left over, then when you go to an interview, you have some printed out already. Or let's say you went to an event. Here, I'll give a good example. So one time we had an intern, he's been an intern for 2 years. He was at a restaurant and he saw one of our vice presidents eating dinner. And he recognized him and introduced himself and said, I would love to be an intern of your company, and told him about himself. And he said, do you have a resume with you? And he like knew we had one in the car, so he went and got it. To always be prepared. But something I was telling people yesterday too, I would save your resume to like your home screen of your phone too, so that you could show it to people easily. If you're in a situation where you're telling somebody about what you're interested in, they're like, oh, I work in that field. Like, do you have a resume with you? And you're not like, oh, it's saved in my computer, or it's in my email somewhere, like I can't find it. And then you're freaking out. Like, just save it to your home screen and you'll always have it. So now that was a little off topic too, but tips for success. Do we have any other questions while I'm on the off topic spot? Yes, sir.
The last point on the non-verbal, is taking notes while we're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like?
This is what I'm gonna say. If you're taking notes on your phone, I'll just say, hey, I'm gonna take some notes on my phone, like while I'm chatting with you. Just preface it, you know. They like if you're making it with like a pen and a pencil, like they can see you making it. So if you do it on your phone, it's always best to say like, hey, I'm gonna do this on my phone. And then it makes people feel more comfortable, or like you are interested. And that really goes with anything. I don't know. Some people make speeches off the phone now too, and it's always good to just say it first. All right. So we already said dress professionally, career service, they got you, they got your outfit, got your back. Make sure your face conveys genuineness and don't be afraid to smile. So when you smile, it makes your voice sound a lot more jovial. And it will lift you out of moments that you do not realize that you seem very nervous or not interested. Even when you're talking on the phone, if you smile when you talk on the phone, you will seem a lot more engaged versus if you're not, because people who talk on the phone a lot, who do a lot of phone screens, can tell in someone's voice if they're smiling or not. So even if you feel goofy talking on the phone, sitting there smiling, it's going to make an impact. Like we said prior, make an appropriate amount of eye contact if you can. Not too much to scare away the recruiter, but enough to show that you're paying attention. You'll want to stand tall and face the recruiter when speaking. And like we said, you can take notes. If you take it on your phone, just say, hey, I'm taking notes on my phone. So, connection recommendations. So engage with the employer, attend the employer's events on campus, meet and chat with various employees, and take every opportunity the employer offers. As you guys saw in here, I was talking to people that I've met before. People will remember that they spoke to you. So take the time to come to different events for different employers, because they will remember you when they see you on campus again. Yes.
Can you share your LinkedIn? Do you give them your username or the link?
Yeah. So if it's on your resume, you'll just put it on the, like you'll just put the link. Some people will be like, they'll have their phone out and they'll be like, hey, like, what's your LinkedIn? And then they'll ask you to type your name in. Then you put it in there. Or you can ask them. You can do that. That works too. I'm just saying from my personal experience what happens. If someone did give a QR code, I would be like, why are you doing that? It's like, oh, that's cool for you know. So. Yes.
Did you recognize going both days?
Sure. If you have the time to, if you don't overexert yourself and get yourself stressed out and missing class and you know all the other things. But if you do have the time to go both days, you can. Because people will be either one of two things. You go and you meet one set of employers and you go back to meet other sets of employers, or you go back and you touch point with the employers you spoke to the day prior and said, hey, we had a really great conversation. I just wanted to come back involved and let you know that I am really interested and I'd love to engage with you more. Something like that. So yeah. Connect with professors. So your professors normally have connections in industries that you're looking for. So reach out to them to see if they can make an initial contact for you. I know that can seem awkward when you have a class of 300 people and you're like, how am I going to make a connection? There's so many people in here. This is why You go to study groups, you email them if you need help, you like literally engage with them any opportunity that you can because they'll remember you, they'll remember your name. Think about when you see someone's name before you actually meet them, it's gonna stick with you a little bit deeper. And start early, network as soon as you identify an industry you want to go into. The more often you speak to an employer, the more likely they are to recognize you. So campus recruiting overview. So typically the process will start with a college recruiting event such as this or the career fair tomorrow. If you go to the career fair and they're really interested in you, there's a thing called next day interviews. So you could have a next day interview. If you're really interested in an organization, you might say that you are interested in interviewing with them. If they aren't doing that, they might invite you to a first round interview, and that could be within the next 2 weeks. That's how it happens at CGI. If you do great in that, then you'll get invited back to the second round, final round interview, and then about 2 weeks will go, and then there would be a hiring decision. Also, sometimes what happens is companies will interview so many people that they have to start pipelining candidates. They don't have enough opportunities. If you ever get pipelined for an organization, don't take that as they don't like you or like you did something wrong. What I would recommend that you do is if you've been pipelined by an organization, you've been interviewing with other companies, and it's not what you're looking for, you haven't gotten a job or offer, you can follow up. I will follow up with a month later, month after that. I wouldn't do it every 2 weeks or so, but you could follow up once a month and say, hey, I'm still interested. And I say this because candidates who reach out to you who are in the pipeline and they say, hey, I'm still interested, if we do get new opportunities, they'll come first in mind because they've been reaching out to you. Versus somebody hasn't, like in your head, you're like, oh, they really might not be interested. Like you might reach back out to them, but that person will like stay with you if you do get more opportunities. And with the hiring decision, you could get a mix of things. With CGI, typically we give you 3 weeks to make a decision. If you get multiple offers and you are in the process of like negotiating, you should let all recruiters that you're working with know that you need an extension or something. You shouldn't just ghost people because then it makes things really awkward. And it's honestly not very respectful either. So if you have another job opportunity that you're going to take, make sure you tell the recruiters from the other organizations like, hey, thank you for your time. I found something that's a better fit for me. Have a great year, something along those lines. So full-time opportunities, we do hire business analysts and we hire from within any major into that role. We hire programming analysts sometimes. Hi, you're okay.
We don't have a topic in this, but can we ask for leadership in like Europe or not in the US? It's like, for instance, I'm not in the US.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm not the state somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I would like to.
I understand where you're going with it. That you can ask, but it will make it a little tricky just because, like, from my perspective, if I only recruit in the Southeast, I don't have any connection to any recruiters out there in Europe. So my recommendation would be if you know that you are interested in going back home for the summer to like apply to those jobs. And then this would be a little bit of a long stretch. If you know that the company that you're interested in is international and you follow that specific recruiter you met at the fair on LinkedIn, and then you look through all of their connections to see if they had a connection who lived in that country that you they're wanting to.
It's not just through them.
No, it's yeah, you wouldn't know. I mean, it would be really tough. It would be very tough. I mean, like, think in perspective, we have 90,000 people who work for CGI, and there's probably like 6,000 recruiters worldwide. Like, it's just hard to know everyone. But if you do a little research, you figure anything out. Yes. Or the everything I would
I'm
go.
just gonna say, I think another good option would be to apply for a virtual internship that you can do like wherever you want. But if they do have one. I don't know what or United.
You don't, what are you don't know your Phrase that again. You don't know.
You don't know what kind of you want to do information, or maybe you know what kind you want to do, you don't know what company.
So are you saying in the context of like you've done research and there's still no one you want to work for, or are you
I'm
just
saying in the concept like you research all these companies, but you don't know which one is really the best fit for you.
so then that's when my recommendation you would go and talk to them and see. And you would find out about like what their culture is like, what their benefits are like, what the trajectory of working there for 5 to 10 years is like, and then you will make a decision from there. I would, if you're just super unsure what you know, I would research more than 10 companies and just keep researching until you find what you're interested in, and then go and engage with each of those employers. Any other questions on this topic? Yes.
Like when you first like call the person, should they just introduce themselves first, or should they just themselves?
If I walk up to someone, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, I'm Chelsea." I'm not. I think that's all. If you walk up to someone, then you wait for them to say something. You know, I'm not saying that to me, but I'm like saying in person. Like if I was like, you know, like that's a little awkward. Like, and we have met before. We met, and that was still awkward. So yeah, if I was I would definitely say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then they'll tell you theirs. Some people will just say it though, like, "Hi, I'm Chelsea," and then you say it. But most people, like, I would introduce myself first. Anything else? Nothing else? Nobody? Okay. All right. So we do have a very robust internship program, and it takes place 10 weeks over the summer. It starts the first week of June and ends the second week of August, and there are essentially 3 components to it. Oh, okay, I did hold up 3 fingers. The first is that you are assigned to a project team. So as an intern at CGI, you're not there to just like make copies for someone or take notes. You're an integral part of team, and you are in school receiving cutting edge information. And we are an innovative global leader. So we want to learn the things that you are learning in school so we can stay up to date. So if you're ever in a project meeting and you have a question or suggestion, you're really encouraged to raise your hand because we want to hear from you. The second component is that you'd have a capstone project that you would work on. And essentially, it's just a simulation of the work the business does. So you would be given a client, you would have about 5 or so business analyst interns, 5 or so technical interns, and you all would be finding a solution to a problem. And at the end of the summer, you would present your findings to a board of VPs, and they'll pick a winning capstone group. And sometimes that I've seen, some VPs are really impressed with the interns that we have, and they say, "Hey, would you love to come and join my team this fall and stay on as an intern?" So that's definitely an opportunity that even if you weren't working on a person's project, like you do have the chance to show yourself with the work you've done over the summer. And then the third component is we have a corporate social responsibility initiative that we do. This past summer, all of our interns did like donation drives for local schools in their communities. In the summer prior, we did a donation drive for our veterans. If you are looking for an internship, I'm going to give you advice and say apply as early as possible. But go home and apply. Apply over the weekend, because a lot of universities will have a spring internship fair, but by that point, a lot of companies have already hired all their interns. So it's more of like a networking thing. So if you're really serious about getting an internship this summer, just go ahead and start applying. Here's our QR code to visit our website, and it'll show our internships throughout the US. And then you can get connected with us on social. So does anybody have any questions left? We did have quite a few while we were reading through it yesterday.
On the internship side, on the internship website. A bunch of different cities. Should we pick a city now?
I would go ahead and pick a city. And then this is the other thing too, though, if you have multiple cities that you are interested in, and then like you get pipeline for one city, you can tell your recruiter, okay, well, I'm interested in this other city as well. And if they're the recruiter for that city, they can send your information over to those hiring managers, or they can send your information to the recruiter in charge of that city and see if you put you in it. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I think we went away.
You're okay.
I just wanted to ask, when you work at CGI, do you only work for a specific client for a certain amount of time, or are you working?
It will depend. So most people who are fresh out of college, kind of to give a little background, you would be in training for the first 3 months before moving on to your client. And then the first 1 to 2 years, you probably would really only be working with one client, and then like what you give little time and experience.
Yeah,
in
why?
the belt,
You want to go to Turner? Switch that.
Say what? No, okay. Then once you get a little experience under your belt and you can handle like a multitude of projects you can. I've only really heard of people who have been working within the business for like 15 years or something, like working with multiple clients. And also just to add on to that too, like if the contract with the client expires, like you're not automatically just like out in the wind, like you would be on the bench and you would just be doing different trainings until we put you on a new client project.
I'm just curious because yesterday, Deloitte was here.
Mhm.
And he explained to us that, when you work for their company, I'm probably just asking if it's the same system. When you work for them, probably you have a sort of a, not a mentor, but kind of a coach that just like puts you in places like after your product is over. You know, you have probably for you, so you don't like just rolling your thumbs. Is that how it works?
Well, it'd be so you'd be on the bench. So you, if you were on the bench, you would be doing training. So we have this whole department called workforce management. So like if a client contract is about to expire, or you would kind of be working to find something that you would be a good fit for. Or also too, let's say like you've been on a client for a while and you're like, I don't really like this anymore. I want to develop additional skill sets. You can connect with workforce management as well to find what you need clients to work for. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? What's your favorite color? Nothing. Yeah. We work within 10 industries, so anything under the sky, somebody's doing this. All right, well, if nobody has any more questions, thank you guys so much for your time and for being so respectful and good listeners. So y'all have a good week.